On the streets of Moscow, the economic crisis is worsening by the hour with the Russian currency in freefall. The ruble has now lost 50% of its value so far this year, with the price of oil also in freefall, going from $115 a barrel to $60 just since June. The problem for Russia, nearly half its revenues come from oil and gas, and Moscow is still facing crippling sanctions over its actions in Crimea and Ukraine.
The news all bad for the Russian economy as we get ready to finish up 2014. GDP in Russia declined 0.5%. The ruble, as you saw right there in that report, crashed, plunging 50% since the start of the year. The news does not look better for 2015. Here to sort it all out for us, Steve Beaman, an economist and chairman of the Society to Advance Financial Education. Good afternoon, Steve. How are you today?
I'm very well, and Happy New Year, Rick, to you and all of the viewers at Newsmax.
We appreciate that. Not a Happy New Year right now in Russia. U.S. dollar, one U.S. dollar will get you 58.91 rubles. The trading day started with the dollar only getting you 53.49 rubles. What's going on in Russia right now, Steve?
Well, clearly in response to the oil price change that's gone on, as your introduction piece mentioned, we've come from $115 a barrel down at one point to 55. That is crushing the Russian economy. 40% of their economy is predicated on oil prices. So when you take prices down by 55%, that hurts. And that set the Putin government up for some real problems.
Talk about oil prices right now. What is the reason why we are seeing such a drop in oil prices? And again, is this going to be a long-term problem for the Russian economy?
You know, that's a fabulous question, Rick. There really are two drivers right now. First, we have an economic slowdown going on in Europe and the Far East. China has come from about a 10% growth rate down to around 6.5%. And while that's still good, it has slowed down demand for core oil product. Secondly, though, and as importantly, is the explosion and revolution in American shale oil. As a result of our fracking processes in North Dakota and other places, we are now the world's largest exporter of oil. We produce more than enough to be self-sufficient, and that flood of supply, when taken in concert with that demand change, is what's caused this price to drop.
An American positive turning into a Russian negative. We want to talk go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it's very much that. I think you have a geopolitical situation where Putin is in real trouble in Russia. He doesn't want to cut defense spending. He's going to have to cut the budget. It's going to come out of social spending, all as a result of America's push into this oil. But real quick to the viewers, it's important to know the United States has only about 10% of global oil shale reserves. So this is a long-term problem for Russia, not a short-term blip.
So often we hear about the United States working with an international community and imposing sanctions on various countries. A lot of times they don't work. In this particular case, looks like the sanctions are a major factor.
Yeah, it's a combination effect. I think if you took the sanctions absent the oil prices, they wouldn't be that severe. But when you put them in together with these oil prices, it's really hurting the Moscow government.
Is the Moscow government rebounding? Are they starting to diversify their economy, or are they a little bit slow at the switch right now?
They're a little bit slow, and what you have more there going on than anything is a resurgence of nationalism, with Putin and the Russian government blaming the Americas and the West for causing these problems. They're not really accepting that they're a sole product economy. They're just blaming the West. And I think the fear is that they'll start to disrupt gas flows into the Ukraine and into Eastern Europe.
Steve, your organization is involved in financial literacy here in the United States, and I'm sure Vladimir Putin isn't calling you for advice, but what can the Russian government do to try to improve this economic situation right now?
Well, right now, they're not going to want to hear it, but what they need to do is cut their defense spending to free up some cash that they can use to stimulate the economy. They refuse to take lessons from our Federal Reserve that really did liquefy the economy post the 2008 problem, and the Russians need to do that. They have about $500 million in reserves right now, hard currency reserves, and they need to use some of that to stimulate their consumer economy. That's the only way they're really going to come out of this absent a military action.
As you look at Russia, what are their other exports? What other things do they rely on besides this oil?
They have a lot of food production, which they can utilize. But again, I think absent oil, there's really nothing there of measure. They export a lot of military weaponry to North Korea, to Syria, to those types of countries. And Putin has come out lately bragging about that. So, I think we've got to really watch what's going on there geopolitically. We don't want this guy to go and make mistakes that could cause the world serious problems.
That's economist Steve Beaman. He's going to stick around for another segment straight ahead because we've been talking about these sanctions, and one of the reasons why they have these sanctions is what's going on in the Ukraine. I know that's really important for our Newsmax TV viewers out there, and we'll address some of those points straight ahead for a Tuesday afternoon. I'm Rick Blackwell in for Ed Berliner.